So, what is up, guys? I'm Kyle. He's Justin. And you guys in the future probably know the name of our podcast, but we do not yet. This is something with the two of us have kind of been getting around, trying to, it's been up in the air. We've been talking about doing one here and there as far as a podcast goes. But we just haven't really pulled the trigger on it. So I think with the new year, today is the 4th of January of 2022. I think it's going to be something that we're going to try and do once a week, just to bring you guys some information on any process throughout the real estate game. And with spring right around the corner and the market being as crazy as it was last year, we want to get some good information out for some buyers, and just so that they're a little more prepared for this market. That it looks like it'll more than likely be a seller's market again this coming spring. What do you think?
100%. Oh yeah, I definitely think it's going to be a seller's market. I mean, going into the holidays, winter months, it's definitely slowed down quite a bit. Not only myself, but other agents out of the office, they've been going through the same thing, but completely understandable. Everyone wants to spend time with their family, holidays. It's a busy time of the year. But, with spring coming around the corner, I really think it's gonna pick up here soon. I want to say probably within the next month or so. Honestly, I really do think there's going to be a lot more buyers out there, a lot more sellers trying to put their house on the market or seeing what updates they can do, and so on and so forth. So I'm really looking forward to this year. It's going to be a good year. It's definitely going to be a busy year again, but hey, nothing wrong with being busy.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that the big thing, and we kind of discussed it before we got on air, was, what do buyers kind of need? And, with how quickly homes were moving last year, you see houses for a day or two and you're like, hey, I can't get out until Sunday. House goes active Thursday, and then it's gone on Saturday. And you're talking to your buyer like, oh, well, I'm not pre-approved. We kind of just saw it on Zillow, wanted to get the, things in motion. So we reached out, but it was next door to my mom's friend or whatever. There's all kinds of different things for different people, and they just miss out on houses for certain things one way or another. And we kind of came up with maybe walking through the pre-approval process and why it's so important going into the spring market.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Because like you mentioned, I've had it actually happen a couple times. I met with a buyer. In some instances, someone can be pre-approved with like an out-of-state lender or someone that's not local, and they can be like, yeah, thumbs up, give you the green light, you're good to go and whatnot. But that may not be the case. Because I had instances where, buyers that went with like an out-of-state lender, they ended up talking to someone local and realized that they had to change up their whole loan just because the out-of-state lender wasn't aware of XYZ, So I definitely believe that getting pre-approved is honestly like one of the first steps, alongside with meeting with a real estate agent in your area, because at that point, you're destined for success because the local lender will be able to get you on the right foot, get you pre-approved, and make sure you could actually buy your dream house. And then, of course, a local agent will be able to guide you there, get you in the house, and tell you what exactly you need to do starting out,
Yeah, and with the two target areas that we have, we're both kind of on separate sides of the, West Toledo, or like the Toledo area. You're more out toward, Swanton and all that. And I'm more West Toledo, further like west or east-west Toledo.
Yeah.
So with that being said, you go on Zillow and you're thumbing through some houses and you get interested, and you're like, hey, I kind of want to see what this house looks like. Some of these pictures look very nice, but they're, a little spruced up. You can tell they're doctored up a little bit. Maybe someone went into Photoshop, or there's all kinds of different, platforms out there now that can really make someone look like a professional photographer for a few dollars. And people want to go see the house, but you're clicking on, hey, let me find an agent, let's say a local agent, but you don't really know those people. You haven't talked to them. Do they really know the area? Have they lived in Toledo or, out your way their whole lives? And they haven't, they just don't really know if there's construction going on in the area, if there's a new highway thing like getting ready to come in, just things like that. So working and finding the right agent is also a big deal before the pre-approval process. And we have the kind of connections just from experience, for other local lenders, I mean, we work with a handful of different people on a daily basis that different programs for different people for different situations, different personalities. Not everybody gels the same way, and it doesn't mean that you're bad people. It just kind of is what it is, like.
Oh yeah, definitely you gotta find your tribe, man.
Yeah,
exactly. Find your tribe.
Exactly. So why do you think so say someone reaches out to you and we're looking at a house here that I've pulled up on the MLS, 5130 Norton Place, Toledo, Ohio, 43615. It is active. If anybody listening wants to check it out, it's listed at 1099, listed by our colleague Kira Klein over at Remax Preferred Associates with us. It's been on the market since the 26th. So say I'm a buyer. I come to Justin and I'm like, hey, Justin, I'm really interested in this place. I have family in the area. I went to high school at Rogers, which is the area it's in. The taxes look right for me. How do I get in there as soon as I can? Because I'd like to get the ball rolling.
Yeah. So, I mean, if someone called me right now to go check out this place, one of the first things I'd ask, have you spoke to a lender yet? Because obviously you want to make sure that, for one, you can afford the house, you're able to get a loan, your credit checks out, that's an income, all that checks out, and that you're able to make a move on it. So that's what I would do. I would find out, see if they talk to a local lender. If not, I would get them in touch with one. And luckily, the handful of lenders I work with on a daily basis, they're able to have a quick response time, and as long as you're submitting documents in a timely manner, they're able to dish out a pre-approval within like 24 hours. So it's a very quick turnaround, and especially with like this house that's on the market right now, that's what you need in this market. Even though it died down a little bit, you still need to act quick, because someone could be in the same position as you and looking to do the same exact thing. So it's just a matter of who can get things rolling faster, who has the better lender that can give them a pre-approval, go over loan details, and make sure that they are comfortable with moving forward with this house or any house that's similar to it. But that would be essentially the first thing I'd do. And then, of course, once you have the pre-approval, myself and that the consumer knows that they can afford and buy the house, we'd set up a showing, get out there right away, check it out, walk through it, of course, make sure it's something for you, look at any pros and cons, see if there's any updates or mechanicals that need updated, and then essentially after that, go from there and write an offer if you love it. But of course, a lot more to that, but that'd essentially be like the first step, just make sure pre-approval is good, because can't do anything without it.
Yeah, you're basically playing with monopoly money, where it's like, hey, we get clients sometimes are like, hey, I can't afford this. I know how much I make. I know what my credit score is. Unfortunately, that's not how it works, because if you can afford a $110,000 house, so can this person that's also looking at it. And if they're a little more prepared, like you were talking about, then that's going to be the difference maker. These sellers are looking for their best options. When you get 3 offers that are right around the same, give or take, a few $1,000s, that's what they're looking for. It's like, just to kind of elaborate what you were talking about as far as the lenders, local lenders versus online lenders. I'm a guy that likes food. It's no mystery. I like to eat.
Right.
Most people do, but I'm a connoisseur of most foods. And the way that I like to think about it is, I ask people, hey, if you're going to order a steak, would you go to a steakhouse, like a local steakhouse, or would you order it online, or would you go to the place? Not to put anything, I'm a big Applebee's guy, but they're just better. They're right around, they do everything okay. Nothing's like spectacular. You're not going to Applebee's if you're got $100 in your pocket to spend on a steak. It just kind of is what it is. Everything's okay. That's like your big banks. You're going to get pretty good service for everything you're doing, but you want someone who's kind of specialized in it. So you're going to go to that steakhouse, and you're not going to order a steak 2-day shipping from Amazon. I mean, that's just, why would you?
Right.
And that's what the listing agents are talking about with their clients on these listings, is that, hey, we've been at this steakhouse before and it's damn good. So, we should definitely eat with them. That's just kind of how the business goes. We've worked with these lenders before. They've had good experiences with them. And these sellers are putting their trust in their agents the same way that hopefully the buyers listening would with us, to to kind of direct them to, the right place and get them to the finish line. As far as meeting, like you were saying with the documentation, if you guys can meet us halfway with certain things, if the whole thing goes so quickly, like you're talking about the turnaround with pre-approvals, 24 hours is a long time. Like for some of the people that we deal with, they get them out to us within a few hours and they know what we're working with. They can tell us, hey, we can make this work. Or on the flip side of it, they need to do X, Y, and Z before we get to where we're going. What are some of those conversations that you have with your buyers once, if you have to have that kind of heartbreaking talk where it's, hey, unfortunately, we're not quite there credit wise. The down payment's going to be a little more than we think. Even before looking at the house and it's still on the market.
Yeah. So, if it comes down to it, because if, I connect someone with like a local lender and whatnot, and, at the end of the day, they're not there, but, they're close. They're within like arm's reach, I just have that conversation. I don't like to beat around the bush, like to be very straightforward, be blunt, just be like, hey, I know you guys are super excited. I know when we sat down, you guys were pumped, ready to go. But unfortunately, after talking to said lender, you guys just aren't there yet. But, after talking to a lender, he mentioned that he's going to come up with a plan for you guys, give you some recommendations of things to pay down to get your credit up. So, that's kind of how I gear the conversation. I don't like to just shoot them down right away. I like to try to come up with an alternative solution for them.
Sure.
So then that way, I'm not just meeting with these people, just trying to get a check. I'm meeting with them with the intent of building a relationship and making sure that they're guided in the right direction. They're being taken care of, because sometimes if you send them to a lender, they may get shot down. Their credit's not there yet, and the lender just disappears. Yeah. So I always try to connect them to a lender that I know is going to stick with them, and that, ultimately has the same goal as me, to build a relationship, to help them get in their dream home, and to make it a win-win situation, So that's how I kind of handled that when it does pop up. But, most of the time, the lender could just take care, come up with a game plan, and be able to help out wherever is needed, which is amazing.
Right. And no doesn't mean no forever.
Right.
And a lot of the folks that we work with, that's what they'll do is we'll get you in touch with them, and they'll talk about basically everything that he just said, but they're going to set you on a path for success. Where I know that for some folks that have been renting for their whole lives, I'm 29 at the moment. So people that I graduated high school with, friends, family that are kind of a little reluctant on buying a home and not really knowing. It's not really as scary when you have the right team behind you, as far as us, your lender, your inspector, the title company that we would put you on with. When you have that kind of team built behind you, everything really gets taken care of very smoothly. And that's kind of a big part of our job, is making sure that we can alleviate as much of that stress as possible for people, and just kind of show them that, hey, getting your keys isn't, some pipe dream. It's something that really not almost anybody can do, especially with some of these lenders and the programs that they have nowadays, where it's either zero down, USDA, FHA, veteran loans, conventional loans with lower percentages down. I have closed on a few houses recently where their mortgage is about $650, and this is prior to them paying, $900 in rent before that. So that's just $900 a month that they'll never see again. So I think that buying is a great path and a great avenue. I think that what we're going to do moving forward with the podcast for the first few episodes here is kind of walk everybody through the process. So step one here is the pre-approval, and we were kind of discussing that like we just did and talking to you guys about, what to kind of expect. There might be a little heartbreak initially. However, know that whether it's myself or Justin or any agent, we're just trying to educate you here and let you know that no doesn't mean no forever. It's just little building blocks. Hey, we got, that credit card that I got when I was 18 to buy a cool watch, or got that checked off. We got the GameStop checked off for the PlayStation 4 I had to have back in the day. That's off now. Just little things like that will start to add up and make your credit score look not great. And it's just kind of imposing But when it gets broken down into certain ways, it's like, hey man, if you can throw $100 over here, we're in business. We can get you some keys in anywhere from in 30 days if we find the right home in the right situation. So yeah, I think everybody can kind of relate to that. Everybody's been young and dumb before. Everybody's bought the PlayStation and maxed out that credit card as soon as they got it, or just certain situations where they needed some like emergency funds and the credit card was there and the credit just got nicked over here and there, and maybe it's just little things like that really add up. But we'll put you on with people that are a little more acclimated to breaking all that down for you guys. Yeah. So anything else you want to kind of add to the pre-approval process? I think maybe we go into next breaking down the whole process.
So yeah, I mean, not necessarily. I mean, we pretty much, I feel like, in my opinion, covered majority of the pre-approval process. Just one thing to add, like we talked about, finding a local lender. When you reach out to your agent, whether myself, or Kyle, we have at least a handful of local lenders that we work with on a day-to-day basis that we can recommend and refer. And one thing that I always recommend to people, especially if your first initial lender is like an online lender, shop around, see what rates are out there, see what programs these lenders offer you. Everyone has a different, if you're a first-time home buyer, everyone has a different first-time home buyer program. There's some where you can get a conventional loan that's typically 5% down. You can get a conventional loan for as low as 3% down. So, definitely shop around, go down your different avenues and see which person, which program is the best fit for you.
Yeah. And for people that are maybe like curious, without reaching out to us, if you're curious as far as what your options are, some of the local places that I typically have dealt with, and then I've had nothing but good experiences. That's why I only have really two, are Fairway Mortgage and Benchmark. Those two places are great, have been really good to me. These are guys I can call any time of the day. If I have any kind of worry, if I have like a half a thought, like, oh man, what if this and that? I hit them up, put my mind at ease, and then I can put you, the listener, my potential client, or whomever, like, hey, talk to Pete, talk to whoever it was. Everything's cool, man. We're just all on the same page, working together. What we're trying to do here is build a team for you. So reach out to Fairway or Benchmark if you're interested in anything like that, and just see what they have to say. They have great credit repair programs. Like I said, it might not be today, but tomorrow's not that far away. So you want to kind of go into the next process. So say I come out and I'm looking at 5130 Norton Place still with you, and I'm like, hey, let's go. I got this pre-approval for 109.9 through a local lender. I have this much money down. We're good to go financially. We throw the offer out there. It gets accepted. I'm euphoric. You come back to me and you tell me, hey, here's what we're looking at before we get the keys.
Yeah. So, going in the next step. So, found the house you love, moving forward right out the gate. So, depending on if you include it in your offer, within the first 3 days, of course, you have to turn in your earnest money deposit, which, for anyone who doesn't know, earnest money is good faith money that shows the sellers that you are serious, and that money gets applied towards the purchase price at closing. So say $100,000 or $110,000 house, do $1,000 earnest money check, at the closing table, you'll see it show 109. So that'd be the first thing, get that turned in. Then of course, next would be to call and schedule your inspection. So you have to do that during the inspection period, which we'll break down, I'm sure, in a later podcast. But
yeah,
so the inspection period, you'll go call the inspector, get that scheduled, get them out there, talk about any repairs and things that you would like done. Or if fortunately enough, the house is good, nothing really pops up that is too alarming or anything along those lines, then you can just keep things moving forward. But that rarely happens, I'll be honest. In an ideal world,
nothing wrong. Yeah. That might be too alarming. Like, hey, this is a little too good to be true.
I mean, there's always going to be something wrong with the house, whether it's little items, maintenance items. But let's say there's no big ticket items such as replacing the roof or having your crawl space flooded, basement flooded, or something along those lines. So, after we work through that portion of things, then that's when the lender, they'll order the appraisal. The appraiser will work on scheduling that appraisal, get out there, come up with their value of the house. And then, once that comes back, checks out, then that's when, essentially the lender and the title company, they'll work together on matching up numbers and working on getting you the clear to close. But of course, throughout the whole process, there's going to be steps where you have to turn in additional bank statements, pay stubs, anything that the lender requires, you'd have to, of course, get done, which is the little tedious things that goes into it. But essentially, there's like 3 main components, and then you're at closing.
Yeah, and that kind of just comes back to what I was saying a little bit, where if you guys are just meeting us halfway, then we can really expedite the process as far as getting these things done, getting negotiations started on certain things. If any of those big ticket items, maybe come up that you talked about, a lot of these houses like this one here on Norton, I mean, this house was built in 1929, man. This house wasn't built for anything but for people to live in it. So people have been living in this house for, what is that, 90 years? Like, so there's going to be a little wear and tear more than likely. However, this house specifically does look very nice. So it looks like they've done some remodeling on it, and it looks very good inside. Yeah, so after that process, we kind of get, moving to the title company, getting all the paperwork and whatnot. Then we get the appraisal process, which is next, where basically the bank is going to let you know, basically if it's good to loan onto the house. If the bank's not going to loan out $300,000 for a home listed at 109.9, just that's not how they operate. I mean, it makes sense. If your kid comes to you and asks you, "Hey, can I get some money for a pop?" and they're like, "Oh, can I actually get that 20 so I can go get a pop?" It's like, hang on a second, that's not for a pop. So that's kind of how that whole system works. Not necessarily as small as a pop. There's a few more moving parts. We'll get into that, like we said, in a later podcast. We're going to do a series here. I think the next podcast, we're going to try and get a local inspector on, and we're going to kind of walk through some of the motions with him and just get a little bit more information to you guys. And then finally is, closing day. So the title company runs through all the numbers. They get a statement out to everybody. The appraisal comes back good, no problems. And they coordinate all that. And then the title company makes sure that all that is free and clear. There's nothing, sneaky on there. Like maybe they took out a home equity loan, or there's back taxes that need to get paid. They basically make sure that you're getting the keys with nothing hanging over the home, and you don't have to worry about some guy coming and knocking on your door and saying that he did $10,000 worth of work 2 years ago and never got paid. And you're like, "I've never met you in my life. This is crazy." So yeah, that's what we're trying to avoid there. But yeah, so then you just come in, sign some paperwork, and you get your keys. And it sounds, a little too simple, but it kind of is that simple, isn't it? Like, if you kind of meet us halfway with getting this paperwork in, we're going to keep you in the loop with all this stuff as we kind of go through it. And, that's kind of it. It's not, and that's what we're trying to maybe voice to people, is that it is very scary. And it's the largest transaction of most people's lives up to that point. And it can be nervy, but with the right team behind you, like we talked about, it's not as daunting a task or an imposing thing as it might seem.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. Like you just said, as long as you have the right team and, people are willing to meet halfway. So, as long as everyone's working together as a team and as they should, the process becomes a hell of a lot easier, a lot smoother, and it really is that simple. As long as you have an open mind going into it, because, I ran into it a few days ago where I had an inspection, and, my buyer is like overwhelmed, like, "Oh my gosh, look at all this thing wrong with the house." But, it's our job to kind of alleviate that, break it down, and be like, a lot of tedious little things here and there. These are the big things that I would personally focus on. And then, of course, you let them make their own decision. But, she wouldn't have got that advice if she had another agent who really didn't care about her best interest.
Sure.
They'd be like, "Oh, no, house is good. Let's keep it moving forward."
Mm-hmm.
Lender's right there back behind them. Let's say an online lender. They're like, "Yep, I'm right there with them. Keep it moving." So, really having a good team in your corner is really what's going to make or break the deal. And, it's either it's just going to alleviate stress and make it a lot smoother for everyone all around, and make the process as simple as it seems.
Yeah, and I think that's why the two of us maybe have gelled so well is because we kind of have a similar outlook on how we want to do things as far as, we're not trying to, shove this thing to the end of the finish line as quickly as we can. If it gets there quicker than it should, like most people will be pretty happy about it because buying a new house is very exciting. Selling a house can be very exciting. But our job is the two of us typically, we are trying to advocate for you as best we can and also provide all the necessary information so that you can make the best decision with any given thing, whether it's what you brought up with the inspection report, different experiences that we've had, and just things like that. So, any final thoughts? I'm pretty excited to go through our buyers little few episodes here. I think we'll probably land on about 4. We're going to try and get an inspector on next week. We're going to try and get a lender on the following week so we can kind of talk about a little more about the pre-approval process, but also the appraisal process. And then the final week, which if we're going down our line in order of operations, we'll have a title person on that week and they can kind of talk about what they need from you as buyers. Also, kind of what to expect once you get to the closing table.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Yeah, I'm excited for this buyer series, and then of course after this we can roll into the sellers one, which will also be super exciting. And during that, of course, can give some tips and things that I've learned about getting your home ready for the market for for you guys to let me and Kyle come out there and do our thing.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I'm definitely excited for this. And yeah, looking forward to the next episode, man.
Yeah, if we're going to be on all platforms as far as podcasting goes, we'll be on YouTube. I'm posting the video to Facebook. You can find Justin via the link down below, or if you want to tell them how they can get a hold of you, the areas you kind of cover.
Oh yeah, so for me, I cover Lucas County and all surrounding areas. I'm kind of out more so like Fulton County at the time, but yeah, so I cover all Lucas County. Working on getting my Michigan license soon, so I'll be up there with you before too long. But yeah, if anyone wants to reach me, feel free, give me a call, shoot me a text at 419-279-7768, and I'd be more than happy to help out any way I can.
Yeah, and Lucas County isn't necessarily right where we're at. Like I said, I'm in like West Toledo. That's my home. It's my stomping grounds. I went to start high school. I know this place like the back of my hand, but I've done deals out in Custer, Ohio, the south end of Ohio, of Toledo. And then the two of us have kind of brokered a deal as far north as the Upper Peninsula. So, if there's a will, there's a way. We're going to make it happen for you. So even if it's investment property, vacant land to go camping on, your first home, you just want to upgrade or you're downgrading, whatever it is, we got you. Reach out to us. My links are all down below. So yeah, it's been fun. And we look forward to hearing from you.
Oh yeah.